Guys, Rominating Reaper here. So as you can see, I'm outside the cinema. All I have to say this one is below. Yep, minions and monsters. So obviously, yes, it's a new Minion film. Obviously, I'm there for it. You know, we're up with this franchise. But also, this one looks kind of interesting. Obviously, with the 1920s Hollywood hook, and I've been hearing some surprisingly good reviews. So I've got my fingers crossed this will be a good time. But the only way to find out is to head in, get some snacks, and get seated for minions and monsters. So yeah, I've got my popcorn here with the Cadbury Buttons toppers and a Fanta, ready for a minion takeover of Hollywood. So, Minions and Monsters. I am back from seeing it. The film is directed by Pierre Coffin, director of many of the other Despicable Me and Minions films, but is also better known to us all as the actual voice of the Minions. Now, it's worth noting that apparently this is the Minions film he has enjoyed directing the most, and it's certainly easy to see why. This one actually has a really cool hook to it, obviously with it being set in 1920s Hollywood, which is a setup that is just ripe with creative potential, and certainly ripe with potential for minion antics as well, because, you know, it's just a really cool canvas to just let the minions loose and the mayhem flow. But does the film actually deliver on the creative potential of its unique hook? Let's find out. So the film follows an all-new tribe of minions who travel the world in search of an evil boss to serve. One day, during their search, the minions stumble upon Hollywood, and with the help of a visionary director named Max, quickly find themselves becoming stars of the silver screen. Within this tribe is a minion named James, a gifted storyteller who feels inspired by Max and sets out to become a filmmaker himself, coming up with an idea for a monster movie. And so, with fellow minions Henry and Ed by his side, and with the help of a small Cthulhu-like creature named Goomy, James sets out to find some fearsome monsters to star in his film and bring his dream to life. So, at this point, the minions are basically an unstoppable cultural force. So, obviously, you may as well try and do something interesting with them. And, as it turns out, this is the film to do exactly that. Yeah, I found myself really enjoying this one. This is the best film of the franchise, and easily the best film that Illumination has ever made. So of course this is the one that ends up underperforming. So, admittedly, the opening stretch plays kinda like a rehash of the first Minions film, obviously with them all travelling the world in search of an evil boss to serve. And don't get me wrong, the slapstick minion antics on display are as funny as you'd expect. There's a quite creative stepping on a Lego joke, and there is a straight up decapitation in here as well. So yes, that stuff is funny, but the opening stretch very much does feel like territory that the franchise has already covered before. But there is actually a pretty cool narrative framing device in that, you know, this is a story all being told by a tour guide voiced by Alison Janney, and those little bits of narration do serve to set the scene. And so when the minions do arrive in Hollywood, yeah, the film really finds its feet, and from there is just a ton of fun to watch. Obviously, the film does that, you know, that thing of sort of showing us the behind the scenes look at how the magic of the movies is brought to life. You know, this is something that's been done in many a film, including Babylon, which This one kinda references in some way, but it's really cool to see that brought to animation with the minions. And obviously, all that stuff is really entertaining. Obviously, we've got Max, the director, voiced by Christoph Waltz, a very likable character who serves as a figure of inspiration in the journey our main character James goes on. We also have the producers, the Bright brothers, these fat, money-hungry figures, both voiced by Jeff Bridges. And there's a quite funny running gag involving the pair of them sat on the sofa watching screenings of all different films. But there is something just inherently really, really funny about seeing the minions appear in sort of different types of film. There's like a hard-boiled detective noir story. There's like a sort of epic barbarian battle with the minions. Hell, there is even a version of Citizen Kane starring one of the minions. Yeah. It is a setup that is just ripe with potential, and it absolutely delivers on it. It's also a film that is littered with references to Hollywood's history. Like, not just early silent films, but it goes even later than that with like visual references to stuff like E.T., The Matrix. Hell, there's even a cameo from George Lucas that is very funny. But all of this comes from a real place of love from Kofan, a place of love that is just genuinely infectious, and you can really see his passion just ooze across the frame every single scene. It's just absolutely delightful, and hopefully should serve to educate the youngsters on Hollywood's history. But what I think really makes it all work is that we have a character worth investing in James. Obviously his drive to, achieve his dream and get his film made is, a very relatable one, and one that is easy to connect to. And it helps that he is a character that is full of drive and personality. And so, yes, he is well worth investing in. The little moments of friendship he has with Henry, lead to some really quite sweet scenes. There's also some little bits of humour from Goomy, voiced by Trey Parker. And, in a really cool touch, there's a little bit of representation for the deaf and hard of hearing community in the form of Ed, who is the first ever minion to communicate in MSL, Minionese Sign Language. A landmark moment, and hopefully the first of many more to come. And so, because these characters are so likable and easy to connect to, it makes this really entertaining journey to, get the monster movie made well worth investing in. And it's just really entertaining to watch throughout. There's also a really, really funny subplot in here involving the rest of the minions serving a robot from another world named Dort, voiced by Jesse Eisenberg, in a quite against type role as this leader with a real sense of gravitas. Yeah, I loved Dort. All hail Dort. I hope to see more of him in the future. Yeah, he is great. And the way these two plot lines converge is so much fun. It is just absolutely delightful. Now, admittedly, after a particular reveal happens, the final stretch of the film becomes a much more basic Minion film, obviously, with this becoming kind of a more standard sort of save the world, destructive spectacle that we have come to expect from this franchise. And, I find myself really getting invested in the Hollywood and filmmaking stuff, and so to see it take that shift was kind of a shame. But it does regain its focus in its sort of final frames and delivers a really, really cool final twist that you gotta see. And be sure to stay through the credits because there's some really fun surprises in there as well. Yeah, I really, really like this one, and hopefully we will get to see more of Minion James in the future. Overall, Minions and Monsters is a lovingly crafted tribute to old Hollywood, and one that serves as a fresh and creative new angle for the wacky slapstick minion antics. It is just an absolute treat for film fans. Out of 10, Minions and Monsters gets an 8. So, let me know down in the comments, have you seen Minions and Monsters? What did you think of it? What is your favourite film in the Despicable Me franchise? Did you appreciate all the Hollywood references throughout the film? And would you like to see more of Minion James in future films? Let me know all that down in the comments. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're new. And don't forget to turn on post notifications so you don't miss an upload.